Well, welcome in. We are taking a bit of time just to explore and look at our partnership between the Ripple Pond and the Poppy Factory. And so I'm joined today by both Heather and Sarah, and we're going to have a little bit of a catch up and a chat, help you get to meet the sort of the faces that you'll speak to as you sort of come through either the Ripple Pond or the Poppy Factory. And so I wonder, let's just kind of jump right in and kind of do introductions. Sarah, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what's your kind of role, why you chose to do it, all of that kind of good stuff.
Lovely. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having the chat. So yeah, I'm Sarah Goody. I am one of the family employment specialists at the Poppy Factory. So I've been at the Poppy Factory for 18 months now, and I was very lucky to be sort of taken on to create the new families employment service. So the Poppy Factory has always supported veterans with their employment, and then 18 months ago we launched the family service, which was very good, very exciting to be part of a brand new thing. My background is a little bit different. So I actually have a background in assistance dog training dogs for people with physical disabilities, and then also another complete walk of life of operations manager with a charity with children with disabilities. And obviously with those sorts of roles, you really build rapport with people. They're all about building rapport and about getting sort of the best outcome for people and their goals, which obviously led me to the employment side at the Poppy Factory. And from a personal level, I'm the spouse of an injured veteran as well. So I've got that sort of, I guess, desire and passion to want to help the armed forces community as well. And yeah, the 18 months has absolutely flown by. So really, really enjoying it, really loving it still as well.
Oh, brilliant. And Heather, you've been with the Ripple Pond for around the same sort of time, haven't you? How are you getting on? Are you enjoying being with us?
Yes, so it was around sort of the same time, as Sarah joined as well. I'm loving it, really. Yeah. I've always sort of my main motivator, I suppose, in a role is supporting people and just making a difference, I suppose, in people's lives. So it fits really well with my own sort of ethos and motivations. Yeah, like Sarah, I've had a mixed roles over the years, mainly sort of educational wise psychology, so fits really well with this role. But then, of course, being a mum and doing things like that gets in the way. So you're taking down different paths. But I do feel I'm where I want to be, supporting people.
I mean, being a mum gets in the way, but it also teaches you so much too. And so obviously we're new to this kind of partnership and learning about how it works. Poppy Factory very much employment specialists, the Ripple Pond very much peer support, supporting carers and specialists in both. How does it kind of work together? How have you guys been getting on making that kind of fit together and work together?
Well, I mean, if I do say so myself, I think we're doing a really good job. I think we are. I mean, I do like to always mention the partnership, because I know sort of sometimes you can be in partnership with an organisation and you don't really know each other. You're doing things but not really together. And we really aren't like that. Sarah is like a colleague to me, not like someone who's just someone over there. We really collaborate well. And that's not me just saying that. We really do. We do things sort of like quizzes together, for members of and I think we just sort of work really closely together. And I think the outcome is then seen with our members and then people who go onto the family service as well with the Poppy Factory. So I do think it works really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, the quizzes are amazing. Sarah, you're like the quiz genius. I love it. So much fun. But it's really clear sort of from looking on that you guys actually, it's more than just kind of a piece of paper. You guys really do work together. How's it work for you, Sarah, as well?
Yeah, no, I first of all, obviously, really echo everything Heather says. It's such a lovely feeling to have a partnership with an organisation that is a real partnership. And I think for me, that partnership and, Heather and I work closely behind the scenes, but as we just said, we do quizzes and sort of like drop-in sessions and things like that. Our goal was always trying to be both approachable, really sort of people person. Sometimes sometimes people might be like reluctant to be referred over to somewhere else, or got to repeat your story all over again. So it's nice to have sort of a joint approach so people know that we're working together. But also it really helps for actual starting our side of employment. So I say, they don't have to repeat their story again. Obviously, we go into more details and we find that out, but it really builds that rapport straight away. It means that, we've already got that foundation to have that good conversation. So it means that we get some, more information before someone comes through for employment. But also as well, employment is one thing, and that is obviously our specialty and that's our niche. But we know that everything else in life affects employment as well. It's not just let's get a job, tick the box, easily done, and everything else is going to fall into place. So where Heather and I can actually then collaboratively work together is obviously if the person's happy, we can talk about different aspects in their life that is not employment that we could help with, and whether that's more peer support from from yourselves and your groups, whether that's sort of social isolation, or even if it's that something that both we at the Poppy Factory or the Ripple Pond can't physically help with, Heather and I can jointly discuss and be like, right, where is the next person, who is the next place that we can send a referral over to or suggest someone to. And also Heather and I think probably be fair to say, but have sort of quite similar opinions on referrals and signposting. So just because we work really closely together, and when we're sort of, if we say the word signposting or if we say the word refer to another organisation, both of us like to sort of know that and know that they've had a good experience and things like that. So I think the collaboration, it is really good fun. I can't lie, I do love a good quiz. That is good stuff. But yeah, I just feel like it kind of looks like we're a joint approach and like we are colleagues rather than two different organizations, which I just think can help someone who's maybe lacks confidence coming forward and asking for support. We're not sort of some sort of scary person that's got to talk at the end of the phone who's just taking down information. It's like we're actually people just like everyone else that can have those conversations and find out more about someone and help. And then obviously once you find more about someone, that it's easier to achieve their goals. Very good collaboration.
It's brilliant. And even as you think about kind of going into work, you think about trying to build confidence in your workplace, but actually so much of that is built outside of your workplace as well. And so actually if you can kind of collaboratively kind of come together and look at, well, how do we build confidence across the board, then of course you're going to get far better outcomes and far better achievements. So on a sort of a day-to-day basis, what do your job roles look like? What are you involved in doing? How's it sort of work?
Well, I suppose from my sort of side of it, the Ripple Pond, we a new person will probably come along. We have a conversation with them, and if they're comfortable, explore what's going on. Of course, we support people that are loved ones of veterans or serving that are injured. So during their time in the military. So there's probably sometimes a lot going on for them. A lot of. So it's just about really having that conversation and exploring, how can we help? Like we can't do everything, but what sort of things do you need? The amount of times people come to us and sort of say, we don't know where to go. We didn't know this existed, or, and it's just being their voice and exploring ways and signposting, I suppose, to make things better for them. Sometimes that can be employment. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it might be looking at counselling options. Sometimes, or a variety of options that's going to help them. And day to day, that's what we would do. We also, obviously, with the peer support that we offer, we monitor that, and we have calls with people. And if they do sort of ever sort of say something about employment, because we do hear it a lot, that they're not happy maybe in their role, or they just feel quite stuck, and sometimes it's scary. So sometimes they can feel that actually I'd love to move, this isn't working right for me, but I've got all this going on here, I can't focus on that at the moment. And I think by us focusing on these other things, then they can have that time to maybe go to the Poppy Factory and explore the options as well. Sorry, I don't even know if that was your question, Sarah.
It's a great answer. It's a great answer. I think it's brilliant. Like you say, like people come in and they come to the Ripple Pond because they're caring for a loved one, and it's huge. Like life has kind of got to a bit of a standstill, and then actually we're kind of there to encourage. You know, we've got the peer support, we've got information and talks, we've got the sort of whole mix. And then also like the employment kind of side of things, to be able to say, well, actually, you don't have to be stuck in employment as well. You can actually, you know, stretch and be, you know, what is it that you may want to explore? And so, Sarah, a lot of the stuff you do, it's not just find a new job, is it? It's a much bigger employment picture than that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we specifically have very low caseloads. So obviously a caseload is just the amount of people that each of us is working with. We will always have that. We have that on the family side and the veteran side, and that's always been our sort of, I guess, ethos from the Poppy Factory, because, you know, yes, we help with writing or creating a CV. You know, yes, we can help with teaching someone how to job search on hidden job markets and things like that. And of course, we do that in the employment side. But actually, most of our job, and is my favorite part as well, is really getting to know the person on like a real, not personal level, as in, you know, how's your day, you know, what you're up to this evening, but like really understanding what their goals are and what they want for employment. Because actually, most people can go out and find a job. You know, these days you could even get an AI thing to write a CV and you could just get a job. But we are really, really wanting to know, what does that person want from the job? And that's very different for everyone. You know, someone might just want really, really career driven and really want to work their way up to sort of a senior manager position. Someone just might want a job where they don't mind their job title, but they just want to do it for a really good cause that they're really passionate about. Someone might just want something that just works with childcare or care and responsibilities. So that's why we take a lot of time finding that out to make sure, you know, we're putting the right path going forward. And then it's all, for me, it's all about then empowering that person to do it themselves. You know, we don't want to sit here and say, you know, right, find this job, this is the job you apply for. Like, you know, what is it that's interesting you? And then I think with sort of how it really works with the Ripple Pond as well is you've got that peer support. So it's not for everyone in regards to, sometimes people don't like saying, oh, they've got an interview or they've got a job, but it's really nice to have that balance as well. So someone then does get a job, you know, Heather will tell me sometimes that someone posts it in the like their peer support group, and they get all of like the other peers and the other members sort of congratulating and well done. And I think that's really important, because it then also empowers other people reading that actually, oh, okay, you know, someone else can do it, I can do it as well. And Heather, really, you hit the nail on the head earlier with the sort of using the word explore, you know, and that's actually quite a lot of the things. Sometimes we feel that sometimes people go to an organization, any organization, whether it's us, you guys, non-military charity sector or whatever, and there's a bit of an expectation, there's a bit of a pressure that, oh, you're signed up to this support, so you have to do this, you have to do this. We are much more holistic. I say we don't have any time frame from anyone. It's not like you have to be in a job for 6 months or so. We can go at someone's pace, and actually it's okay if you're just exploring at that moment in time. So say, for example, Heather said, you know, maybe someone's unhappy at work or wants to potentially do better. If they want to come to us and just have those conversations and just explore it, if that leads to something else, then absolutely fantastic. But if it doesn't, that's still a really good, vital conversation piece that someone's had, whether they mean, oh, actually, I really know I need to change this, but it's not right now, I'm going to park it for the future. Or they're like, oh, actually, having this conversation, I realized that I am really happy in what I've got. I just needed to kind of have a conversation, talk about it. So yeah, I just think the collaboration is really good. And day to day, sorry, again, I tangented off as well, Sarah. Sorry, me and Heather are rubbish at keeping on track. You should hear our quiz nights. This is what it's like. But yeah, day to day, it is really about those conversations and getting to know that person. And that is why we have said right at the beginning, we have those small caseloads, because we wouldn't be able to do it if it was hundreds of people. Just here's a job, here's a CV. So a lot of it is those, you know, understanding where someone's coming from and what they want to achieve.
I think though, Sarah, you know how you've just, because this is quite big actually, you know, where you say, oh, we can work at their own pace. And of course, you know, at the Ripple Pond, we're there for people as little or as much as they want. You know, some people do want a lot, some people, you know, not. I do hear a lot as well from people sometimes. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to let them down. There's quite a lot of anxiety about, I don't want to say no. I don't. So sometimes in the background, you know, I will have a chat with them and say, look, you know, it's okay. absolutely it will be understood. Everything's at your pace. And I think we do hear that so much, that, you know, people are just anxious of letting someone down or think there's this expectation. There's not. It's all about you, and everyone's different.
Yeah, definitely. And sorry, Sarah.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, our process of someone coming to our service is quite straightforward for obviously from the Ripple Pond, but, you know, even sort of a self-referral from someone that's not part of the Ripple Pond. And, you know, what we have is people can kind of come back to us quite easily. So, you know, as Heather has said, you know, sometimes people might not want to let someone down. I always say to people, I would much rather you tell me in the nicest possible way, you're actually letting me down if you're just saying, oh, yes, things are great. I really want to do this. I want to have this job and things like that, rather than just saying, you know what, Sarah, thank you for your time and support. Actually, I'm either fine by myself and what you've done is great, I want to do the rest by myself, or actually I'm just going to park this for now. So yeah, like for anyone listening that is ever hesitant or thinks, oh, I don't want to let them down, or, you know, I can't give lots all the time, it's really not like that at all. All we ask, and I've said to Heather millions of times, all we ask is someone just tells us their situation, you know, if they're busy, if it's not working or anything like that, as long as we know, so I don't hound them and pester them and check if they're okay, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I love that. And I love seeing the huge variety of outcomes that that we see kind of coming through. There's, you know, all from, you know, different things. Sometimes it's just having the confidence that actually I didn't think I could have confidence to go into a job interview. And now I've got that confidence. Actually, that set me up. That's exactly what I needed. And that's the outcome that they wanted. And when you're kind of reflecting on, I'm sure you've got loads of really good stories of outcomes that you are just super proud of. What is your give us sort of your favorite one or two outcomes that you've seen from the partnership that just really are meaningful to you?
Heather, you go first. We'll have a think.
Well, I mean, one for me that stands out, and that's someone who gained some voluntary work, and through conversations that I've had, their confidence has improved, levels of anxiety have improved. And I think one thing that stood out to me was they said, oh, yeah, but I've only got this voluntary role. It's not. And I'm like, that's huge. You know, let's just stop and think. It's not about, you don't go to unemployment service, oh, I've got a job, or I was to write a CV. It's not all about that. You know, that you've just, you know, sort of without going into huge detail, you just told me that, you know, there's certain things that you can do now. Your confidence has improved so much that has changed your life. You've just said that's changed your life. So that really kind of like, whoa, made me stop and think. So I'll just give you one. Sarah.
No, I know that's you know, it's so important to have that as also an outcome as well, because, as I say, it does change people's lives, whether it's volunteering, paid employment, unpaid employment. I think for me it's hard to put like a exact moment or something, but quite, I guess, I wouldn't say often, but a few times, what I really sort of, I guess, would say an achievement or success is actually in the process of doing an application form or writing a CV. It's not actually getting it on paper or getting an application submitted. Obviously, that's fantastic. It's a step in the right direction. But the thing that I feel is when someone will first talk to me, they'll say, you know, I haven't really got much of a background that is for this job. I'm never going to get this job. I don't have all the criteria that they're hitting. You know, they ask for this, they ask for that. I don't have it. I've got no experience in that. And actually, when you talk to them, you're like, and then again, you start to get to know them. You're like, you actually have all got that experience, and it goes back to that confidence of realizing, you know, yes, you've done many different jobs, and whether that's someone who was with their loved one while they were serving and they had like loads of different jobs relocating, or whether someone hasn't worked for a long time because they've been supporting their loved one, that in itself comes with so much desirable criteria for an employer's eyes. And you know, I'll talk to people, and some people won't buy it at first. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes people are like, no, I don't want to put that down. No one cares what I've done. An employer's not going to want that. And you know, it's a little bit of backs and forwards of like, just give it a go. And then once we write it together, and then they read it, that for me is like one of my favorite parts, because you realize actually they've had that confidence, they've had all those skills themselves the whole time. And people say thank you, and it's really lovely, and they're like, I couldn't have done this without you. Again, really lovely words, but I'm like, I didn't do your previous skills experience. I haven't done what you've done over the last few years, however long. I've just literally put it on paper for you, but you've done all those amazing things. And when I have those conversations and those people are like, oh, actually, you know what, I can apply for this. And then sometimes they send me jobs over that they're interested in, that at the beginning of our conversations, they were like, no, can't even possibly think to even apply for that. But now that they see their skills experience and actually read it on paper, I think that's the difference, isn't it? One being in your head and seeing it on black and white ink. The confidence that people get for going for jobs is fantastic. So yeah, sorry again, can't give you one that you asked for. I'm really rubbish at answering your questions, but there's just too many different achievements that I think is really great.
But I love those because they are just so tangible, of someone just coming in maybe with like a real low self-esteem or low sense of what they are capable of, and actually just going on that journey of discovery to actually see they've got a whole load of skills they didn't even know they had. It's amazing. And I mean, what are some of the sort of the big themes? I know you guys have been doing some work to kind of ask people what are some of the things they really want help with at the moment, but what are some of the common themes that you've really found you're all sort of weaving kind of through the partnership, and that you're both working at from a different sort of perspective?
I mean, there's quite a few, isn't there, Sarah, I suppose, really. But as we talk to people more and understand more, I mean, obviously sort of like employment side of it, work-life balance is very difficult. I think people are finding difficult. And I think, again, sort of like to mention self-confidence, anxiety, the unknown, knowing where to go. And I suppose that it all links back, doesn't it, to that whole well-being, confidence and knowing where to go. And there's so many aspects of people's lives where they just need someone to champion for them. And I think that's what we at the Ripple Pond try to do on various aspects of their life. And I think Sarah, you know, and the Poppy Factory do for the employment side. And I think coming together, we try and, going off your question again.
No, you're on it.
But no, I think, you know, there's so many different aspects of someone's life that they're probably, you know, or they've got into a rut, you know, and I think we just do try and champion, don't we, Sarah? I don't know whether there's any sort of themes that come up for you a lot, anything different.
I think similar to what you said, confidence is a massive one. And that is, you know, confidence means so many different things, doesn't it? Just that one word doesn't really do it justice of what confidence means. But there's so many different aspects of confidence that we see that people, I'd say, I wouldn't necessarily use the word struggle, but, you know, find it as a barrier. And it could be the confidence. Sometimes it is even the confidence of actually saying to your other half or saying to a family member, actually, you want to change jobs, you're not happy in it. Because sometimes I think, especially with the niche that we're focusing on, people who are supporting a loved one, sometimes there's a bit of a trend of feeling a bit of guilt of actually, oh no, this is working, like it's fine, I can work my hours and I can support it, and I don't really want to say that I'm not happy in the role, and they feel guilty by, you know, saying that. Or again, going back to explore what roles they want to do, I sometimes feel that it's not always the first conversation of what they want to do. By the time you have the third or fourth conversation, is actually a little bit different because they've had a bit of confidence to say, actually, no, I'm not happy. And I think someone turning around saying they're not happy in a role, I'm not saying that means people are unhappy and awful and wanting to leave their role, you know, the next day. But I think actually realizing that you want more for your own self, or you could do more, sometimes people do feel a little bit guilty, or on the flip side, they lack that confidence of thinking, well, I can step out into a new role. So I think that is definitely a trend I, you know, do see a lot. There's also a lot of conversation that will say, well, I need to make sure it works with my partner. I need to make sure that my hours work with that. And that obviously happens in any household. You know, that isn't specifically to the military. But of course, we've got a bit more of a better understanding of how other things from the military could affect that as well. You know, whether the person they're looking after has got a, you know, physical condition or mental health condition. We know there's other factors going on in that potential guilt and confidence as well. So they're sort of the trends. And as Heather mentioned as well, sort of work-life balance. A lot of, sometimes people think of like an employment service, right? That means they want me to become a CEO at a big charity and it's very career driven and they want me to do this and this and this. And actually it's not. Quite a lot of the time people, I won't say it's 50-50, but a lot of people we have actually do tend to jump from, you know, job to job. Now, I'm not saying they do 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks there, but actually I think in this world, changing jobs these days is so much easier than it was years ago. And sometimes I think, you know, like a long time ago, it's like you have one career and you stay in that career and that's what you work for until you retire. It's just not the same these days. So many people, you know, go to different jobs until they find the right one. And I always think it's more brave of someone trying different jobs until they find out what works them than just putting their head down and plodding on and just because it works and it always has done. Again, tangent off. Heather, we're never going to be asked to do this again, I think, with the questions and tangenting off.
I think it's great because what we're talking about is this whole picture. Like, employment isn't just the kind of the means to earning money or the career ladder. It's about that kind of whole, you know, giving people a sense of agency, a sense of choice. I think often when people are caring for a loved one, you know, so much of their life has diminished in order to look after someone else, and actually it's allowing them time for themselves, isn't it? And allowing them time to explore some of the things that maybe they've struggled to explore, have kind of let go of and are picking up the pieces of again. And so I think it's really exciting. I'm going to ask you guys one final question each. This is your like elevator pitch for someone who has never heard of like either the Ripple Pond or the Poppy Factory. Give us, why should people get involved and how they can do so. I know I've got some information to put up on the screen. You can fight it out between yourselves which one goes first.
Heather, you go. There's the fight. I'll humbly say Heather goes first.
Oh yeah, I forgot the question again. No, so yes, if you're someone who's caring for a loved one who's been injured, we support anyone over the age of 18. That could be partner, friend, family member, parent, anyone. You know, you can get in touch with us. I'm sure Sarah's got something she's going to pop on the screen. A lot of people, when I initially speak to them, they do genuinely always say to me, oh, I wish I'd have known about you before. I wish I'd have known about you a few years ago. So if there is anyone that you know that could do with some support, we're a friendly bunch of people, a friendly charity, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, the Ripple Pond really does exist to support people. We have peer support, we have communities, but we also have loads of information, and you get to speak to people like Heather all the time, which is like that's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, it's great.
If you're not asking me questions, I won't go off, so I'll be all right.
Yeah. Sarah, what about you? Give us your elevator pitch for the Poppy Factory.
I feel a lot of pressure, but yeah, so we support family members of veterans, and actually I do need to say as well, just to go with tangent very slightly, but there's a reason why I'm bringing it back. If you do look at website and everything like that, our Poppy Factory supports family members of veterans with health conditions. Now, with our collaboration with the Ripple Pond only, like we will support partners of serving if they've come from the Ripple Pond. So just to reiterate that, you won't find that on sort of other comms, but just put out there, anyone who's listening is that it's a family member of a serving personnel from the Ripple Pond. We'll obviously, of course, support. But yeah, we support with employment. Whether that is going into employment if you've been unemployed for many, many years, or if you're changing jobs, wanting to go from one career to another, or of course retaining your job. You know, that is a really important thing as well that sometimes does get a bit lost when people think of employment support. If you're in a job and actually there's other things that can change to make it better, flexible working arrangements, employee benefits, looking at work-life balance. That's the stuff we can help with anyway. When we say family members, we mean any family member over the age of 18. So that's partners, ex-partners, children, as I said, over the age of 18, parents, siblings, and also chosen family as well. So we do recognise that sometimes people don't have blood family, so to speak, and of course we have chosen family that we can support as well. We don't have a time frame, like I said. You support as long as short as someone needs. We just ask for obviously check-ins just to make sure someone's okay, but there is not that pressure that has to, you know, achieve a goal by a certain time. And as well, obviously I'm the family side, and that's what I'll obviously rave about, the family side. But we, of course, do have a veteran side. So if anyone is watching this who's actually supporting a loved one, a veteran, and actually the family member as a person is fine in employment, but something that they're struggling with is their veteran, their family member that they're supporting with, obviously we have got a veteran side as well. We keep it completely separate. And of course, actually both people from the same household can access the support at the same time, because it's a complete separate team. We don't interlink. And we just like to, you know, support the family as a whole as well. So if for a sort of referral wise, Heather can give you obviously always more information, details, if I've not spieled on long enough as well.
Fantastic. Well, really good to catch up with you both, and good to just take a bit of time to look at the whole sort of employment journey, how it works with life, kind of look at, you know, the work-life balance, the confidence, all those things. The work you guys do is amazing, and how you work together is really good to watch. So thank you both very much for joining us. And I'm sure if you need to get any of the details, if you've missed them, you can scroll back and find them, or we can send them across to you as well. But thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we will pop up with something else again soon. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much.